into much detail, but the essence here is that these people that also come from the era of the military dictatorship in Greece are, in my view, dreaming and in fact working on a scenario according to which Syriza fails in the negotiations with the EU, doesn't come to an agreement, causes a Grexit or chaos. Actually, they are preparing chaos. Chaos is being the government speaks subverted to create chaos, and then the government collapses, and the left is out of power for another 100 years or 200 years. What I was saying before the election is that we need a strong, culturally anti-austerity on the one hand, but on the other hand, culturally right-wing party to absorb these the cultural right wing of the Greek electorate, and we need a party on these lines with significant presence. And I always hoped that the independent Greeks would play this role, and because times are very rough, and create this new right wing of Greece. Now, how can this be done? How can that be done right now? In my view, New Democracy, the conservatives, have to break up. And the only one who can break them up is Karamanlis, the previous leader, in which people have faith. People still have faith in him because he bears a historical name, because he was very loved when he was prime minister. For all sorts of reasons, right-wingers look up to Karamanlis, and I think his decision on whether he will accept the offer to become the president of the Republic, or if he tries and play a more active political role in the political system inside Parliament, his decision on what he will do will be a key in the forming or not of this big right-wing party that is needed to avoid a civil war. That's my concern, and that's my alert that I have to put out. Now,
Michael, let me just say, the scenario you're talking about is, I think, quite realistic. Certainly, the CIA and the U.S. intelligence community would be delighted to see a collapse of Syriza, a provoked exit of Greece from the euro. That would cause terrible damage to the euro. The dollar and the pound would benefit. The CIA would love that, and then the 200 years of reactionary or fascist rule. That's eminently reasonable from the point of view of the U.S. intelligence people.
We also have to point out here that Karamanlis was the only prime minister of Greece ever to have said no to NATO, to have vetoed NATO decisions, and he was big on Russian diplomacy, Putin diplomacy actually. He was very close with them, and we are aware of a possible assassination attempt by the CIA.
Against Karamanlis. Very interesting. Hang on, we're going to be right back with Michael Chiotinis from Athens and the lowdown on what's actually going on, the fight for Syriza to win through to prosperity and recovery. Back in a minute.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with sex. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-467-5059. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-467-5059. That's 1-800-467-5059. Call 1-800-467-5059.
Gold isn't for you? Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources, one of the world's premier gold and precious metal investing firms. I get it. You wouldn't buy gold if you believed that the government is doing a great job, that the Fed will stop handing out trillions of dollars like bailout candy, that Social Security would be there for you. That's not what's happening. You might even pass on gold if the stimulus package wouldn't fuel inflation, or that the dollar wouldn't lose value, or that your retirement would be secure. If all looks rosy to you, then now is not the time to buy gold. For the realist, there have never been more sobering reasons to diversify with gold. Since 2001, the U.S. dollar index has tanked 30% while gold has risen 300%. Right now, savvy investors are adding gold to their portfolios. You should too. Find out what they know. Call us and I'll send you 10 reasons why gold will do very well, free. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX or my website, danpilla.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hi, this is Sophie Winnick, longtime distributor and user of Longevity products. In the last few years, my family went through a crisis. Everything else in my life, including my business, had to be put on the back burner. Thankfully, life is getting back to normal now, but the one thing I never had to worry about was my business and my monthly commission. I've been a distributor for Longevity for over 17 years, since before it was Longevity, and I've got to say the most amazing thing about this company is the people. While my family was in crisis, other distributors stepped in and helped my customers, simply because that's what Longevity people do, even for people they don't know. For me, it has never been about getting rich. It was about a product I could stand behind, a company I could count on, and a monthly commission check that has never not once been late in 17 years. Longevity is truly a business for everyone, even people who have too much to do. I'm Sophie Winnick. I'm just like you. I have a real life, real ups and downs, but I know I will always have Longevity.
Free from the shackles of corporate America, we're the place for independent thinkers. GC.
Fascinating briefing and alarming from Michael Chiotinis in Athens. On the one hand, it would be highly advantageous for the conservative politician Karamanlis to become president of the republic for reasons of stability, but those NATO thugs from the colonel's dictatorship, as we mentioned before, 67 to 74, seem to have other ideas, and they may go violent at any time. So please pick it up where you left off.
Yes, they may become, I don't know in what way they might become violent, but they're certainly dreaming. There's a guy named Voridis who was telling before the election that we will not allow for the left to govern Greece ever, by any means, by all means. we will avoid a left government, and now we have a left government. He was actually the leader of the youth of the dictatorship at that point, and he's now an MP for the Conservatives, unfortunately. Now, we had today a very, very serious meeting between the Eurogroup leader, the president of the Eurogroup, Mr. Dijsselbloem, and the Greek finance minister, Varoufakis. He was actually the one who addressed the UFAA conference, if you remember.
Right. I've told our listeners this story already in the program, but yes, you're right.
Yes, he's the finance minister now for Greece. He is, in my view, the most qualified for the job, and I'm excited to have him as a finance minister. And we had today the first episode of collapse of negotiations between Varoufakis and Dijsselbloem. He was actually here in Greece. They gave an interview, joint interview, press interview, and he talked about he actually tries to be very to appear that Greece wants to cooperate. Greece wants to cooperate with the European Commission, with the IMF, with every institution, but it has to be institutions, and negotiations have to take place on a political level, not in the technocratic level, which was the rhetorical tactic of the Conservatives, that we talk with the technocrats, and the technocrats, of course, when you talk only with technocrats apply the method that has been given to them, the memorandum, the IMF, the Washington Consensus, actually. And Varoufakis brought something new. He said, we will talk politically, but we refuse to cooperate with technocrats that only want to apply a certain logic that in our view is anti-European. And he's absolutely right on this. And at that moment, Dijsselbloem stood and walked out of the room. And it has become whole panic that negotiations have ended, and there's a clash between Greece and the EU. This is not the case. Everyone expects to see the kind of things in a negotiation, and we are very optimistic about the ongoing negotiation. But say that they don't come to an agreement, and I think they will, because if they wanted Greece out of the Eurozone, Greece would be out of the Eurozone, right, 3 or 4 years ago, in my view.
Right.
I think the Eurozone, I think Greece still is in the Eurozone, because the Eurozone is not viable without Greece. If a country exits the Eurozone has no future. Let's be honest on this. And I read an article Krugman wrote on the New York Times, I think, that he says, you think that Greece can go out of the Eurozone and the Eurozone be left standing? Well, if you want to make a bet on it, it can't be done. It will.
Of course not.
Can't be done. Yes.
Let me just, in terms of this threat that you're pointing out, right? Russia Today just had a German academic on there. I'm looking him up. Who is he? Right, Markus Kerber, Kerber. He says the Syriza government is not a government; it's a gang. It's a coalition of unreason and conspiracy. And despite the great generosity of the Eurozone, Greece has made no effort to reform. There's no reform. There's only blackmail. This is a cancer that must be stopped. Now, when you hear violent language like that, you might say reactionary circles NATO and so forth may indeed be preparing something ugly